African can't produce any complexion. If that's the case, then can you find West Africans without admixture that look like you in a group photo? So that is completely incorrect. And it's obvious that you don't understand the diversity of Africa when it comes to phenotypes and complexions, not just in present day, but pre-colonization and just historically. A study published by a team of geneticists in 2018 in Pen Today and the Journal of Science breaks down 2 genes responsible for varying skin colors of Africa, as well as Asia and the Middle East. The article says when people think of skin color in Africa, most would think of darker skin. But we show within Africa there is a huge amount of variation, ranging from skin as light as some Asians to the darkest skin on a global level and everything in between. More than 4 million points in the genomes of nearly 1,600 study volunteers from ethnically and genetically diverse populations in Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Botswana were examined. One gene that the group studied, MFSD12, had been found to be differentially expressed in the light and dark-skinned people with vitiligo, a condition where the skin loses pigment in some areas but was otherwise little understood. The team found variants of MFSD12 that were associated with both very dark and relatively light skin. Mutations in and around this gene that were associated with dark pigmentation were present at high frequencies in populations of Nilo-Saharan ancestry who tend to have very dark skin, as well as across sub-Saharan populations except the San of Southern Africa who tend to have lighter skin. Tishkoff and colleagues also identified these variants as well as others associated with dark skin pigmentation in South Asian, Indian, and Australo-Melanesian populations who tend to have the darkest skin coloration outside of Africa, pointing to the possibility of an early human migration event that carried these genetic variants out of Africa along the southern Asian coast. Also understand that what we know today as Africa is based upon borders set by Europeans in the 1800s. Historically, Africa, Asia, the so-called Middle East, were always populated by the same people who either migrated out of those areas or were captured and taken to other parts of the world. The article goes on, a variant in another gene, SLC24A5, which is associated with lighter skin pigmentation, seemed to have been introduced from the Middle East into East Africa. In other genes linked with skin color, the researchers discovered that they play roles in albinism and melanoma risk. Some of the genetic variants the researchers identified coding for both light and dark skin pigmentation were quite ancient, between 300,000 and 1 million years old, meaning that skin color variation seems to have been present since before emergence of Homo sapiens. Tishkoff noted that the work underscores the diversity of African populations and the lack of support for biological notions of race. And as a Christian, I agree with that 100% because I only believe in the human race. However, I talk about race and I acknowledge race because it's tied to real systems of oppression that we will never be able to dismantle unless we confront them.